Hey everyone, Andy here. I'm just going to talk to you today about what's going to happen when all the federally funded enhanced unemployment benefit programs end in the next few weeks. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the PEUC, the PUA, and the FPUC $300 supplementary program that are all going to be ending after September 6th. So I'm going to have a few options around what's going to happen when these end, what programs are potentially available, and what's going to happen with back payments. As always, if you like what you see here, please hit the like button below and subscribe to keep getting more updates like this. So with the topics I'm going to cover, I'm going to start initially just reviewing the programs. Those are ending by September 6th. Most states, that's going to be September 4th or September 5th. The week ending September 4th is a Saturday, so it'll end definitely by September 6th, but essentially from the week after, week starting September 6th, there won't be any more federally funded pandemic unemployment programs being paid. State unemployment will still be there, but there could be some other options, as I'll discuss later. Other than unemployment programs available after expiry, which is the state ones I just mentioned, you will also be, there's some other state level housing, food, and stimulus programs that are available, which I'll briefly touch on as well. So I know a lot of people are worried what's going to happen when they lose their unemployment, especially those in PUA who don't qualify for, potentially traditional state unemployment, but there are some options out there. And then I want to talk about back payments or retroactive payments for those people who are still waiting for their claims to be processed or have filed a claim but haven't heard for several weeks. So I'll touch on that a little bit as well. So just as a recap, these were all the pandemic enhanced unemployment programs that were federally funded. On top, you can see all the stimulus packages, starting with the original CARES Act, then the COVID relief bill and the Biden American Rescue Plan. And specifically, there was thoughts that this could have been extended till the end of December, but now the Biden administration has announced that they're not extending these programs. They're just going to rely on states using some of the existing stimulus funding, which I'll touch on shortly, to do that. But you'll see the programs here, starting from the top there, which is around PEUC, which is this program here. That's generally for those folks that would have got traditional state unemployment. It extended that and allows them, it basically took the whole program through September, but that's going to end. The good thing is PUC, and I'll touch on that later on, will be eligible for state unemployment benefits. The big program that's going to end, that I think will have the biggest impact, is going to be the PUA, or the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. That was really for those freelancers, gig workers who didn't qualify for regular unemployment or traditional state benefits. Those are the ones that I think were sort of a new group covered as part of the COVID outfall, and this is really targeted at them to find support for them. Now there has been a lot of fraud in that, and I've got many videos talking about PUA, but this program, those claimants in this program are probably going to be the biggest lurch once this federally funded programs end. And unless states do something special, they won't have any benefits after September 6th. And then the big ones, which caused a lot of controversy, was the $300 FPUC supplementary payment. That was a weekly boost on top of, your regular unemployment or PEUC or PUA payments. That was what caused a lot of people to complain that the unemployment benefits were more than what they were getting paid, and a lot of states left these programs early because of that, to encourage workers to go back to work. So that'll end, as well as the MEUC $100 payment. That program was really to address a hole between people who were between PUA and PEUC who would not qualify for PUA because they had some W-2 income, but if they had, they had a mixed job or mixed earnings, they got this extra $100 payment. Now that program has had a very slow rollout across many states, and I've got an article specifically on that. But so back payments will be made, but going forward after September 6th, you won't be able to submit any documentation or receive payments for the MEUC program for weeks after September 6th. So with the programs ending, after September 4th in most states, again, that's the week ending September 4th. Some states have a Sunday end date, which is September 5th, but most states will end September 4th for those are still that are enrolled. Many states had stopped enrollment several weeks ago, so those wouldn't be impacted by this anyway because they would have not be paying these. But all states will have to end this September 4th weekend. So what happens for those on pandemic emergency unemployment compensation, PEUC? They will basically return back to being eligible for state unemployment if they haven't used those weeks. Most people would have already been in a new benefit year, so they should all have the 26 weeks. The only challenge is if they haven't worked for the last benefit year, they may only get the minimum payment. I have a table with the minimum maximum payments by state as well, which I'll link to below. but they will be able to go back into this regular state unemployment program for the most case. Now, the PUA program, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, those people will actually be unable to qualify under current rules for the state unemployment programs just because that requires you to have W-2 or proof of employment income or an employer termination. So I do think some states may make some tweaks to that to allow many of the PUA claimants to qualify, but that still has to be seen, and it'll be done on a very state by state basis, and there's not going to be a federal standard for that. And the last one, the big one, is a $300 FPUC, which I talked about earlier. This won't be paid. Initially, they said if you got $1 of unemployment from any state or federal program, you would get the $300 weekly payment. That's going to go away. And I think that's going to hit a lot of people pretty hard because in many states, that $300 was actually more than even the state unemployment payment they would be getting under the other programs or traditional state unemployment. And the mixed earner program will also end. I think that has less of an impact overall, but definitely, it'll be felt across the board. And I do know many claimants are still waiting for back payments. Those will be caught up if they're all for eligible weeks before September 4th and you were able to go and certify for those. But all these programs end after September 5th. So a lot of people, they're calling it the pandemic unemployment cliff. We'll see this fall off at that point. So while this is very disappointing, a lot of people are hoping for an extension now, where the Biden administration has pushed it to the states to use some existing funding. But there are options available afterwards, after expiry, which I think you do need to look at and be aware of, because the stimulus package in other states realize that there's still a lot of jobless workers for various reasons. They can't find jobs, they have childcare, they have COVID risks, etc. So there are a lot of programs available that can help people get over the next few months, weeks, depending on how long they won't be able to work legitimately. I mean, ultimately, but let's also remember, state unemployment agencies' goal is to get people back to work, not pay unemployment benefits, as many people may assume. So these options are all temporary as well. There's nothing permanent. So the biggest one that came out last week, and I'll post a video I did on this a few days ago, the Biden administration came out and said they're not going to do executive order. They're not going to push Congress to write another bill to fund an extension to pandemic benefits. But essentially what they're saying is, as part of the stimulus package, there was $350 billion allocated towards states for using recovery funds from the stimulus to help with various programs from COVID. And again, I have another video, you can see more details on that. But that 350 billion was allocated based on state populations and other factors. But they want them to use those funds, which a lot of it is unused right now. They've used it, a lot of it for schooling and return to school. But they're saying you use this to expand or extend your unemployment programs to help those needy jobless workers that may need this funding. So this is the mechanism which you may see several states use to extend or expand their programs. I have links to every state. I've got a specific page for every state on my site, so you can see that. But this is where you'll see it. So what may be happening in New Jersey or Florida could be very different to what's happening in California or Arizona or Wisconsin. It'll just really depend on the state governors, the politics there, and what they want to extend. A lot of business groups don't want to extend any benefits further because they feel that it keeps people from returning to work. But with the COVID pandemic still in flight there, I think this will be a state by state, county by county decision to how will they extend benefits. And I'll keep posting more on that as I get more specific information. The other option is, in some states, there is what they have extended benefits. So an extended benefit is, begins based on unemployment rate for a state. They call it the high unemployment percentage. So the HUP rate. So a lot of states, if they go above this after 3 weeks, it triggers on extended benefits, which add 13 weeks and potentially another 7 weeks if it goes even above a highest rate available. So many states had turned this on, especially in between some of these extension bills that funded enhanced unemployment. These were essentially subsumed by PEUC benefits, because again, you have to qualify for state benefits to get these extended benefits, which is why the PEUC claimants were eligible, not PUA. And the rate for the extended benefits was generally the same as your normal weekly benefits because it just extended state benefits. It was federally funded. That's the big difference. However, in most states, this is really not available. Some, like New Jersey, there's a couple out there, and I've got some links on there. Nevada do have an extra week till September 11th that you may be able to get state benefits for, because it just worked out that when their high unemployment rate kicked in, it was 13 weeks before September 11th. But with unemployment falling in most states, the majority of states are below their high unemployment levels that would trigger on state extended benefits. But you should go to your state unemployment website. They'll have a page for extended benefits. Just Google search it if you can't find it. I've got links to all the state unemployment web pages in the description below, and you can see more on that in there. The other support programs, beyond unemployment benefits are back to work programs. So again, unemployment benefit agencies, state unemployment departments, agencies, labor departments, their goal is to get people back to work. They're not to pay benefits. That's the goal. In many states who canceled benefits early was to force people to go back to work. Or, it's debatable whether that really moved the needle, but ultimately, all the states are now really actively offering back to work programs. A lot of their sites have, their portals and links to job search sites, job help sites, retraining sites. So I would definitely recommend you go to your state unemployment site, go to your state labor department site, even look at your state treasury site. There's a lot of support for back to work programs, which you can be done remotely in most cases. So check these out. They can help with you getting back to the right program and retraining you at no cost to you, because a lot of this is covered by the stimulus funding that was allocated to the states. So do take advantage of that if you haven't already. The other option is if you need help with housing, food, and dependent care, there's several state programs available to help with this, like the housing moratorium that allowed, for rent and mortgage to be held off. They're still available at a state level, even though at a federal level there has been some pushback against extending these. Food stamp program has increased by 25%, and I posted a link tab below for that. So that'll help a lot of people. And then dependent care programs, both from a stimulus perspective, but also for after school care if you can't find people so you can go back to work. So there's a lot of state programs. A lot of the state unemployment websites do have links to these. For example, I know Pennsylvania, California, New York have really good links to a lot of their state programs that can really help people. And again, because of that $350 billion in funding, there is a lot of money there for these programs. So take advantage of this if you need to and if you can. Finally, I'll talk about back payments. And I've talked about this before, and I have a whole article on retroactive payments. It's simply if you had qualified for a week that was covered, that's before September 6th, you will get your back payments. Now, I know people are waiting for months as they have to process a lot of manual claims, deal with a lot of fraud and identity verification steps, but you will get back payments. There is funding there. It won't be like after September 6th, you won't get paid for weeks that you're eligible. It may take a while, but it's legally by law. They have to pay you out for eligible weeks where you're able to go back and proof of certification or, back certify for some of these. You will get your back payments. After September 6th, you won't be able to get any payments for those weeks. But if you get a adjudicated claim that was successful, or that you were able to prove that you truly did deserve the unemployment because of you were out of work due to COVID, you will get paid that back payment. So those are happening. Those retroactive payments are mandated by law. So it could take some time, and state departments will be paying it. So keep following up on that. Make sure you go back and you show your claim and your certifications were all up to date. But they will be happening. The CARES Act is funded until the end of next year, so there will be funding to pay all those things as well. Hopefully this video gave you some updates on what's happening with unemployment benefit extension, some programs that can help you once unemployment expires. And I do think there'll be more things done by the states to help some of those jobless workers. And then, the good news that back payments will be processed. And I think it'll happen faster because once they stop paying those weekly benefits, they'll switch back to the state unemployment. They can focus on making back payments because a lot of those claims are being manually processed. So it just takes a long time given the volume of claims we've seen over the last year. As always, please hit the like button if this helped you and subscribe to keep getting more videos like this. Bye.